All right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. Today we're going to do a little video on 3-4 defense, kind of the evolution of it, and then where it's gone back to in today's game, and kind of talking a little bit about trends in football, and when people see things that are new or that are innovations in today's game, you got to kind of sometimes take a step back and think about where they came from, or if they were actually done before in a different manner in earlier football, because most innovations come from adaptations to new systems that you have to deal with, but at the same time you've got to understand that they come from previous incarnations of that scheme. All right, make sure you check out some of our partners, Dome Hats, which is the headwear sponsor. This is our Play Fast snapback dome hat. So if you like custom hats, if you like the ability to design your own hat, make sure you check out Dome Hats, Paper Sporting Goods. All of our players' gear, our spirit packs, our coaches' gear, our uniforms are distributed by Baker, so make sure you check out Baker Sporting Goods. Just Play Football. Anytime I'm going to diagram plays for a webinar on my Patreon site, I think it's the best play drawing tool on the market, so make sure you check out Just Play Football. GameStrat sideline replay system that we use. If you're looking for a highly reliable, highly affordable sideline replay system, make sure you check out GameStrat. DifferenceUSA, the ultimate striking machine. Get thousands of reps, elbows in, thumbs up. You can strike it in the weight room, you can strike it in the off season. In season, you can bring them out on the field, different coil tensions, so as your kids get stronger, you can change the tension of the coil to make it harder to leverage the pad in. All right, HighandTight ball security training aid. You have to hold the ball in the proper position with the proper points of pressure to hear the beep. When you hear the beep, you've got the instant auditory feedback. That's where the ball needs to be in a secure position. If you lose the beep, that means somewhere along the line you've lost the position or the proper position of how the ball should be carried. So make sure you check out HighandTight StandPerfect training aid to build consistent, reliable stances. You can use it in baseball, you can use it in softball, you can use it in golf, you can use it in football. Anything that requires a stance that needs to be repetitive and consistent, you put these on the floor, you put them where you want them. Kids can get in a stance, young kids can get in a stance, and you teach them this is how I want you to stand. You don't have to talk about 6-inch, 4-inch, you don't have to talk about heel-toe stagger. Put them on the ground, put the kids in them, build consistent, repeatable, reliable stances. All right, so what I've got on the board here is kind of the original 5-2 Eagle defense, all right, which goes back to the days of Earl Greasy Neal in the 40s, 1941 to 50, head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, he was playing at that time what was the 5-2 Eagle defense, and then you know, from there, when you're talking about a lot of double tight, one flank, not as many forward passes, a lot of 2- and 3-back sets. One of the things that he did that was kind of revolutionary at the time was, instead of playing it as a 5-3 or a monster structure, he started playing it with 4 secondary players. But you can see it was basically you know, bear, double eagle, however you want to look at it. And then this kind of led to the later 46 defense from Buddy Ryan in the 80s. Kind of that double eagle look, but then you put the strong safety. So, you know, Buddy Ryan defense would have been, you know, that same look, but then the strong safety comes down, all right, to play there, and then you're left with the Mike and the Will in the box. All right, anybody that knows anything about the 46 knows that that was the adjuster, and he wore number 46. That's why Buddy Ryan ended up calling it the 46 defense. It had nothing to do with techniques. It had nothing to do with fronts. But the 46 basically came from the 5-2 Eagle from Earl Greasy Neal. And then also, all right, what people, and it's different now because everybody's terminology changes, but the original Okie defense, all right, so the original Okie defense came from Bud Wilkinson, all right, a coach at Oklahoma, and he went in during the 40s. He went to a college all-star game, and Earl Greasy Neal, head coach of Eagles, who had won a couple championships at the time, he met him at the all-star game, and he took the defense back, but he adjusted it, all right, because he wanted it to adapt a little bit more to the college game of that time in the 40s and 50s. So he adjusted it to where the ends went out and played outside shoulder, all right, the backers moved tighter. You still had the 2 outside backers, okay, and then in the secondary, again, you could play the secondary however you want to play the secondary, but this became what everybody knew as the Okie front, and the reason it was the Okie front, it was because it was the 5-2 Oklahoma defense, So everybody just started calling it the Okie front because it came from Bud Wilkinson, who was the head coach in Oklahoma, right? And then from here, okay, the adaptation of guys that were around that system that ended up in the NFL, guys like Chuck Fairbanks with the Patriots and Bum Phillips, they basically brought it to the NFL as the 3-4 defense, right? So these, in the old days, those two ends, all right, were truly ends, and it was mostly 5-man rushes and a lot of voided flats or, you know, man defenses or one-high defenses. So the evolution of the game led to a point where the 3-4 was the Okie front, and you could shade it different ways to play over-under, but then you ended up with two outside backers, so it went from 5-2, okay, to 3-4, and then that took a big trend in the NFL, all right, and then back to 4-man fronts when people were having a hard time finding big enough bodies to occupy the space up front. So if you think about, like in the 80s, the Miami teams that ended up being great 4-3 teams ended up going, because they were able to recruit more speed and not as much size, they ended up going back to 4-3 defenses and back to, you know, playing even fronts and playing with smaller guys but more speed, all right, which leads me to, you know, then from there, the evolution of the 4-2-5 from Gary Patterson. All right, sad to see that Gary Patterson is not going to be at TCU anymore. He changed the game of football to me. He revolutionized playing nickel defenses and every down defense, 3 safety systems, brought so much to the game of football. From about 2010, the Rose Bowl game against Wisconsin was the beginning of my deep dive into 4-2-5 check with me defense, split field coverages that were check with me. I was originally a 3-4 slant angle guy, got into the 4-2-5 because of Gary Patterson, but that's the way the game evolves, right? So it evolved from the 52 Eagle defense, all right, then it went to the 5-2 Okie, all right, defense from Bud Wilkinson, and then the 3-4 in the NFL with Bum Phillips and Chuck Fairbanks, and then the 46 defense later in the 80s with Buddy Ryan, and then to what, to me, you know, the ultimate evolution of the game is now you take those same theories, and now because there's so much spread football, you know, you take those same theories, and when everything is kind of spread out, now you take those same theories and you look at it and you say, okay, for people that are playing tight front stuff, all right, whether it's 3-2 boxes or, you know, whether it's a 3-2 box or if it's a broken 3-1 box with 3-3-5 coverage and a middle safety, right? So you could play it, you know, the evolution of the game, you could see it like this, all right, versus spread teams. And again, the theory is take away interior gaps with less players. But when you look at it, the Sam and the Jack or the outside backers or the 5-2 ends are removed, but now you've got 4 eyes that are basically taking up B gaps, just like Earl Greasy Neal did with the Philadelphia Eagles when he played with a nose and double 3 techniques, or the bear front in the 5-2 Eagle defense. It's, you know, it's an incarnation of the same thing with different philosophies. So this would be the 3-4 Okie, this would be the tight version, okay? Obviously the Okie version, which everybody had been playing for years, what ended up happening in the spread game, too much space, guards get up on backers too easy, okay? So the Okie 3-4 defense that everybody was playing for a long time versus the spread evolved into the tight front, which is really just an adaptation of bear front stuff. And then from there, the 3-4 evolved into what I would call the broken stack 3-3-5 defense, and now, all right, you got tight front. So you got tight front stuff with a 3-1 box, 4 players taking away 4 intermediate gaps on the inside, or 4, immediate inside gaps, all right, overhangs to help defend space, to help defend RPOs, to help defend the ball getting out to the C gap, because when you play the tight front, the number one thing you got to understand is you're going to have to cancel the C gap somehow. So whether that's with overhangs or how you play your middle safety, depending on the flow he gets, how you play that star, joker, middle safety, C gap's going to have to get canceled because that's where the ball is going to end up going a bunch of the time, right? So in the evolution of the game now, you get from, you know, the 5-2 Eagle, okay, so you go from the 5-2 Eagle to the 5-2 kind of oaky front, to the 3-4, right? To the broken stack, kind of 3 high concepts. So the game is constantly evolving. Coaches are constantly adapting to take care of the things they need to take care of. But when you kind of do some history lessons, and what I like to do is kind of go back and find out where it all started, that's the evolution of the defense. The evolution of the defense is the 5-2 Eagle, okay, which became the 5-2 Okie, and then the Okie front from Bud Wilkinson at Oklahoma, right? Then you got into tight front stuff. I was just reading some 3-4 stuff from Bob Stoops from Oklahoma 12, 13 years ago in a Coach of the Year manual. And in the diagrams, he's got his guys in 4 eyes. He's playing a 3-4 defense, and he's got guys in 4 eyes. So, you know, that stuff, whether it be bare front, tight front, however you look at it, 5-2 Eagle, it's been around forever. It just adapts and it evolves because the game changes on offense. When the game changes on offense, defense is kind of forced to change their hand a little bit, right? And then, you know, the adaptation from odd back to even when guys couldn't find big enough bodies up front. And then, you know, I look at like the Hurricanes, like I said, in the 80s. And then the NFL switched back to more 4-3 principles, all right? And then Gary Patterson, with what he did with the 4-2-5, it's really fun to look at the evolution of football, the adaptation of football, the beginning, where the game started, where defenses started, offensive started, and then where the game gets to and where it is nowadays, all right? So hopefully that helps you guys kind of give you a better light on a 3-4 defense, where it kind of started. Obviously, you can do a deeper dive than that and go back even further, but when I look at certain fronts, and I look at Okie front, okay, you can look up the history of the Okie front, and basically that is the evolution of the Okie front from the 5-2 Eagle defense, from Earl Greasy Neal to Bud Wilkinson, then from Bud Wilkinson to Bum Phillips and Chuck Fairbanks, and then to Buddy Ryan in the 80s with the bare front stuff. So it's always neat, interesting to look at where it started, where it's going, and what we're going to do next, because obviously offenses are going to change again, and there'll be another trend, whether that trend is more 21 personnel or 22 personnel, whatever it is. When that starts to trend, or whatever the trend becomes, that's fancy flavor of the month, the defense is going to have to adapt and adjust again. All right, so again, if you are not a subscriber, click that subscribe button, turn your notifications on so you know every time we do a video or we do anything on YouTube Live. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you like or don't like the content. Okay, it's your opinion. Always leave a message, even if it's a negative message about the video. It's your opinion. As long as it's about football, okay, your opinion is welcome here. I love interacting with people, whether they agree or disagree. That's why, in my opinion, it's one of the greatest games in the world to coach. We can agree to disagree. We can have conversations. We can talk about things. If it's a comment that's just clickbait to get me to do something else or go somewhere else, then I'm not going to respond to that. I appreciate everything you guys do for Play Fast Football. All right, if you're still playing, good luck to you. We have our last game, cannot make the playoffs, so last game with this group, last practice today, last game on Friday. Anybody that's still playing or going into playoffs, good luck to you. Stay healthy, stay at it. Anybody whose season already ended, get in that lab, start grinding, start figuring out what you need to do for next year. Again, I appreciate everything you do for Play Fast, and remember, you won't play well until you play fast, and I'll see you guys next time.